We talk about stress like it's something to get rid of, but what if some stress is actually a good thing? So, I've been noticing kind of recently that I've been doing a lot in my business that has pushed me outside my comfort zone, and at points that can feel quite stressful. And I've noticed that as well, I'm a bit excited about them as well. So there's a little bit of a mix up between excitement and stress, but there is still stress. I'm having to do something that I'm not comfortable doing. And what happens is often we think that's a bad thing, but actually, that kind of stress is what helps build our resilience and allows us to expand and to grow. And it's kind of learning to know the difference between the two things and knowing how you can integrate positive stress into your life that is always really beneficial. And I would always recommend it. So we've we've often been taught in kind of like society that calm is where we want to be. And I teach a lot of this. I teach a lot in my group about being calm, about being neutral, and about avoiding activation. And that is very true when that's a negative activation. So when we have experience of stress that we cannot grow from, so it's a kind of like a stress that kind of drips in. So it might be like the stress of dealing with an ex-partner who causes lots of drama in your life, or just the constant drip of emails coming in, or the stress of going on social media and seeing lots of negative comments that dysregulate your system. Those are stresses that are actually quite hard to live through. And just daily, day-to-day stress of having to manage your life can be stress that feels quite negative if we can't manage it. But then we need to talk about the other forms of stress that we can bring into kind of like a rhythm into our lives. And this is when we actually can do something that's going to allow us to grow. So, for example, at the moment, I'm running an event that I've never run before, and it's quite stressful to sort it all out and build it up. But ultimately, once I've done it, I will have learned a new skill and I will have developed a new ability to do something. And the next time I go and do that, it will be less stressful. Probably for me, when I was younger, I used to be the kind of person that would do lots of things that I found very scary. So I went potholing when I was 15. I found it terrifying. Or abseiling. I would go abseiling even though I found it terrifying. Because once I'd done it 2 or 3 times, it wasn't scary anymore. So what I was actually doing was growing my ability to cope with stress by learning new things, by learning how to overcome that stressful situation and to not find it stressful anymore. And so it's not just about, oh, we don't want stress in our lives. We don't want to experience stress. Sometimes it's about how we can build that stress, necessary stress, into our lives that we can then overcome and find that positive way through. And so when I teach about nervous system regulation and about coming back to center, it isn't about saying, I am never going to experience stress again, or I don't want to experience stress. It's about looking at your life and saying, well, what is areas of our life can we try and mitigate the stress, because there's no benefit to experiencing that day-to-day grind. And that can sometimes come down to regulation and mindset work to overcome how we approach those things. But what other things can we bring into our lives that are actually a positive stress that allow us to grow and to develop and to get new skills? And, it might be like when you're just learning a new skill and you're studying and it's stressful because you don't know how to do it, and you're trying to learn how to do this, you don't know how to do it. I mean, I do lots of sewing, and the first time I made a garment, I made it wrong. I put the snap, it was like a romper for my son. I put the snappers on the wrong way around, and it was a bit messy, but it was a bit stressful doing it at first because I was trying to figure it out. But it was learning a skill, and this kind of stress is actually what builds our resilience. And when we're talking about the nervous system, when we're talking about the vagus nerve, we actually want to build resilience and tone into the vagus nerve. So we want to be able to cope with stress when it happens. And so actually by allowing stressful events into our lives and overcoming them, we build that resilience and that vagal tone so that next time a stressful event occurs, because they do occur and they will occur, it's easier to deal with it. And so that's part of what we do with the regulation work. It's preparing for that benefit. So when we're feeling stress, kind of what we want to do is tune into it and tune into what that stress is that we're experiencing, and listen to, is this the kind of stress that I can grow from? Or is this the kind of stress that's weighing me down, that's going to cause disease because I'm living with it? And am I living with this stress, or is this something I'm overcoming? And if you notice that it's something you are sitting in and you're living with, and it's something that you don't feel like you can overcome because it's a daily life kind of grind, or it's dealing with a really difficult situation that there is no positive side to that situation, that's when you really come deeply into those regulating tools, into learning how I can regulate my system while still experiencing that stress, because I want to um, be able to deal with it and live through it. And then looking at if it's a positive stress. So is this something that, yes, it's difficult, yes, it feels tense, maybe I'm going to go and give a speech and I feel really tense leading up to it, I can feel the stress because I've got to perform. But once I've performed, is that going to make me feel better? So you've actually got a solution to your stress. If that's something like that, then actually what you can do is look at how can you get through that in the best possible way. So it's looking at how are you going to feel afterwards, and just kind of it has a slightly different approach, because when it's something you can't avoid and something that is not going to help you to grow, then it's how you learn to live with it. But if it's a stress where it's an event that you're going to go through, you're going to experience, you're going to overcome, and then you're going to feel that positive thing of overcoming the thing that you're approaching, then you can almost live with that underlying level of activation, because that's your body saying, okay, well, when I feel activated like this and I do this and I overcome it, I feel that positive vibe. And so I'm building up my ability to tolerate stress. So we're learning to tolerate it, because we will experience stress in our lives. There's no way to avoid stress. And that's really important to say, because you'll hear people saying, we want to avoid this. You're not going to avoid stress. There will be stressful things that will happen in your life. And there will be traumatic things that happen in your life, and there will be unpleasant things that happen in your life. And it's all about how you can build up that resilience to cope with it. And I remember doing some training, and this was official training when I was looking at fostering and adoption with kids, and they said, well, do you know what resilience is? And I said, my definition of resilience is your bounce back ability. So it's your ability to come back from negative events, and remembering that we do have negative events. And if we try and prevent ourselves or anyone that we care about from experiencing stress, so we try and mitigate the stress in certain circumstances, we can actually prevent ourselves from building the resilience that we need. And so it's saying, okay, do you know what? Some stress is good. Some stress, so maybe, I might put timers on things. There's a little bit of pressure to get stuff done in a certain time. And that's a little bit of fun stress. Or I'm going to be presenting, I'm going to be doing a live meditation. There's a little bit of stress around that. It's not a really significant amount of stress. It's a little bit like I've got to perform, but that's a positive stress because I'm working towards something positive. Even doing this video and preparing for it, there's a little bit of stress there, but it's not a negative stress. It's something that, okay, I'm testing my stress levels. Can I cope with that? And can I still do it? And I've done it. And then and then it's done because it's done. And it's remembering that. So then you think, okay, right, those are the stress that I want to build in. That stress that I can tolerate, the stress that's around fun, stress that's bordering on excitement. Okay, that's what we want to build in to build that resilience, so that when the other stuff happens, yes, we're still going to experience it, but we can move through it more easily. And so when you're feeling that stress, when you're not sure, like, is this a positive stress? Is this stress going to move me forward? Or is this stress weighing me down? And I need to find a way to release that pressure and to regulate through that, because that's actually something that I can't just overcome. And it's not adding any positive element to my life. So it's about tuning in. So you can do a tuning in. So we've done some tuning in meditations before. So you can just sit and I would place a hand on my heart, or sometimes I like to place both on my heart. And you just take a deep breath in. And if you want to close your eyes, you can as you exhale. And just tune into a stressful event in your life. And just ask yourself, what kind of stress is it? Is it a positive kind of stress that's going to allow you to grow? Or is it weighing you down? What sensations do you feel in your body when you think of this stress? And then you can ask yourself, am I protecting myself or preparing for growth? So tune in. Is it something that you feel you need protecting from, or is it preparing you for growth? And if it's something that's preparing you for growth, you can just affirm to yourself that it's energy and not danger. And just feel that positive stress in every part of your body. And take another deep breath in. And exhale. And now as you inhale, just release the hands and lift them up towards the sky. Stretching up. And exhale, release. Okay, you can open your eyes if you want to now. And just knowing that that little exercise is kind of regulating your nervous system while you're doing it, but it's also allowing you to tune into that positive stress. And when you're feeling that positive stress, to allow yourself to see it as a positive energy and not something negative. And doing that regularly can actually help to retrain your nervous system to feel safe inside that activation. So to feel safe inside that element of stress that you're experiencing, that you're going through, that you're living through. And that's kind of where real regulation happens, where you feel safe despite a stressful event coming up, and you can kind of live through that. So in conclusion, just to remember that we can't live stress-free lives. It's not possible. We're not meant to. But we can live stress-literate lives to some extent, where we understand what our stress is and what it's giving us. So the goal is not to avoid stress, it's to build capacity for it, it's to build resilience so you can expand without losing your peace. And that's what nervous system regulation really looks like. It's not eliminating discomfort, it's learning to feel safe inside the discomfort. So hopefully you found this useful. If you have, remember to like and subscribe. And if you want to go deeper, you want to connect with me more, you want more practices, and you want to learn more from me, then come and join my free group, The Sacred Pause. The link is in the description, and hopefully I'll see you there.